past year has been a surprisingly good one for retailers. Early trade data from Woolworths, Mr Price and Massmart all point towards double-digit growth rates in the second half of 2011. The year ahead, however, will be a tougher one.
Because food inflation is now in excess of the wage increase. So is transport costs. The fuel price is 25% higher, cents per litre, than a year ago. That's what it is right now. So you're having to spend more money than your wage increase on food and transport, which means you've got less money. Now, instead of more money, you've now got less money to spend on the other categories.
Consumers are facing additional pressure from higher fuel and electricity prices. The bottom line is, disposable incomes are tight.
For consumers, the problem is going to be disposable income, as you correctly mentioned. Inflation is expected to be above trend, above the upper band of the target into 2012, definitely into the first quarter of 2012, reverting back to target in the second quarter.
As South Africa's largest export market teeters on recession, the Eurozone crisis presents another threat to the retail industry.
The reality of a Eurozone recession is that it does affect us. An easy statement to make, or a broad statement to make, it affects us. How does it affect us? It affects us in the sense, firstly, of tourism, because the reality is that our retail base is not only made, it may in the main be made up of local people making purchases. But South Africa itself is a phenomenal tourist destination, and a portion of the spend certainly comes from those parties coming in and actually buying. So we mustn't think that we are immune in that regard.
Retailers are exploring expansion on the continent as an avenue of growth opportunity in this tougher market environment.
If I was a food retailer and I'm looking at new markets, I mean, the most logical territory, and it doesn't only apply to food, it applies to clothing, everything else. The most logical thing would be which market is closest to where I operate currently, which I could penetrate at the lowest possible cost with the lowest possible risk. And the one name that springs to mind is the word Africa.
2012, not the end of the world, but a tough year for retailers and consumers alike. Rising input costs, inflationary pressures, and the Eurozone crisis all threaten the health of the industry. But there is hope. Africa is an untapped market loaded with opportunity, and business will heed the call.